Hello everyone, this is Dr. Jyoti Saxena and I welcome you to my channel Biotech Made Easy. And today's video is on basics of fermentation. Microorganisms are very tiny, very small. We can't even see them from our naked eyes. We need microscope even to see them, to observe them. But still they are doing wonders in our life. They are leaving the massive impact on our daily life. Let's see how. Right from the setting of the curd at home to brewing the coffee, from making the life-saving drugs, for example, antibiotics, to producing the eco-friendly biofuels, and also different type of industries are based on the microorganisms, for example, the alcohol and food industries. So these microorganisms are actually leaving the impact. They are doing the magical work, and this they are doing these microorganisms quietly through the fermentation. So fermentation is the microbial magic behind everyday life. Now let's see what is fermentation. Fermentation is a biological breakdown of sugars by microorganisms like bacteria, yeast and fungi. Fermentation can be called as the parallel to the respiration. The only thing is that here the fermentation is in absence of oxygen. Microorganisms convert the carbohydrates into the simpler products such as alcohol, acids, gases, enzymes, antibiotics and many others. And of course, this is an anaerobic metabolic process, and some specific processes like the vinegar production may need a step which is aerobic in nature. So here the oxygen is intentionally introduced to make a different type of end products. So it may be, mostly it is an aerobic process, but sometimes the aerobic processes are also included broadly in fermentation. Now let's see the applications of the fermentation. Fermentation is essential in many industries. Let's see what are these. Food industry is a big industry these days, and curd making, cheese making, all the dairy, most of the dairy products which we get in the market, they are dependent on the microorganisms, and those microorganisms are producing all these through the fermentation. So that's why fermentation is very important. And bread industry, bread and baking, all kind of baking products, all kind of bread what are available these days. So all that belongs to this category, and a big alcohol industry also dependent on the microorganisms. Then in pharmaceuticals, you can see the antibiotics, which are life-saving drugs, vaccines, which is very important, vaccines, and vitamins, hormones. So all these are the products of the microorganisms which they produce through the fermentation. And biofuels, these days we are a lot talking about the alternative sources of energy or the renewable sources of energy. So bioethanol, biogas, biohydrogen production, all these are which are considered as better than as compared to the fossil fuels. These are formed through the microorganisms. So all these are the applications of fermentation. Then different chemical industries, for example, acid formation, solvents, bioplastics. So these are also the product of microorganism. In agriculture also, you can see that the microorganisms are leaving their impact. How? They are making the biopesticides and biofertilizers which are chemical free. There is no chemical here. So these are again very eco-friendly. Now let's talk about the type of fermentation. Let's see how many types of fermentations are there. So when we do the classification, it may be based on two things. First is the end products, and the second is the process design. So in both the ways we can do the classification. So first we'll see what are the fermentation what types of fermentation are there based on the AND products. So first one is the alcoholic fermentation. So as the name is indicating here, the AND product is alcohol, and yeast is involved. The microorganism yeast, which belong to fungi, that is involved here. Saccharomyces cerevisiae is the one, and it converts glucose into ethanol and carbon dioxide. So you see the AND product is ethanol, so on which the alcohol industry is based on. And this is used in wine, beer, and even the fuel grade ethanol making. So alcohol fermentation is the most important one. Then the second is lactic acid fermentation. So here you can guess very well that the lactic acid should be the AND product. And there are certain bacteria which belong to the class lactic acid bacteria. They convert sugars to lactic acid. Now, these lactic acid bacteria can be of two types, homofermentative and heterofermentative. In case of homofermentation, only lactic acid is formed, no other byproduct is formed. But in case of heterofermentation, of course the lactic acid is formed, but along with that ethanol and acetic acid is also formed. And the examples are, curd, yogurt, cheese, and sourdough. So all these, they belong to this category. Curd, yogurt, and all these are the homofermentation types, and the sourdough is heterofermentation type. Then the third type of fermentation may be the acetic acid fermentation. So here the acetic acid is going to be the last product, but here first the ethanol is formed, and then after the ethanol formation, that is the alcoholic fermentation in the first step, then ethanol is converted into acetic acid, and different set of bacteria are needed here, and the genera is Acetobacter. So here oxygen is required for this particular step. That means this is a aerobic process, and the example is vinegar. In the formation of the vinegar, always the anaerobic as well as aerobic, both the steps are involved. Then the fourth one is butyric acid fermentation, or it can also be called as the mixed acid fermentation. Clostridium species, they ferment the carbohydrate and they produce the butyric acid, acetone, and butanol, because main acid which is formed here is the butyric acid, so that's why it is called as the butyric acid fermentation. But then you see many other products are also there, so that's why it can also be called as the mixed acid fermentation, and this is used for different type of solvent making in different industries. Then the second type of classification, which is based on process design. So let's see what are the types of fermentation based on process design. So the first one is the batch fermentation, and this batch in case of batch fermentation, all the ingredients are added at once at the starting point. Whatever is needed for the fermentation, the microorganism and the nutrients, that is all added at the starting point. And it's a, of course, simple and closed system. Why closed system? Because here we are not adding anything and neither we are taking out anything. So this is closed system bioprocess, and here fermentation runs until all the nutrients are exhausted. But once all the nutrients are finished, then your fermentation process is also finished and the product is harvested at the end. So this kind of very simple system, which is needed for small scale fermentations, so is known as batch fermentation. Then the second one is the fed batch fermentation. This is a little different from the batch fermentation. Let's see how. Here the fresh nutrients are added during the process also. So in the first one we were adding all the nutrients at the starting points, but then they were not continuously or intermittently added, but here we are doing that. So the increase is seen in the yield. So the product yield is better here, and this one is used for the antibiotic production, enzymes, and recombinant protein formation. But the end product is harvested at the end only. See, there are two things. One is the nutrient addition, second is the harvesting of the yield. So, the nutrients are added continuously, but the end product is collected only at the end. Then the third one is the continuous fermentation. Here the fresh medium is continuously added and the product is also continuously removed. So here you can see this is the best one out of the three, where the fresh medium is also added and the product is also removed continuously. This is an open system because addition is also done and removal is also done at the same time, and this is a steady state process. And this is ideal for the large scale production, so that's why it is used in most of the industries where large amount of product is needed and the fermentation or the fermenters run continuously for many days. So there you need to add the fresh medium and also all the time doing the harvesting. So this one is the one which is preferred in the industries. So this was all about the fermentation, about the basics of the fermentation. But if you want to know more about the different aspects of fermentation, details of the fermentation, then please keep watching my channel, Biotech Made Easy. Thank you so much.